Hey everybody, Matt here. And I wanted to create this video because I've been looking at a lot of the internet forums about the best podcast microphone, and man, people are really opinionated. There's a lot of options to choose from, and it really seems to be dictated based on your budget. That's probably the first question everybody asks. And then once you get into that budget range, then they start coming up with suggestions of, this one versus that one. I gotta tell you, the best microphone I've found so far for spoken word is the SM7B. But I've got another microphone here that I want to talk about too, because I know that not everybody's budget can do an SM7B. One of the biggest complaints about this microphone is the requirement for a really good preamp or a really good interface with a really good preamp. I'm actually using the Apogee Duet. It's the latest version. That's the iPad, iMac, whatever option. Fantastic preamp, but not cheap, right? I tried the SM7B on a couple of the interfaces I had before, and it sounded bad, real bad. I mean, I had hiss, and when I tried to record at lower levels and correct it in post and boost up that audio level, the hiss came with it. I tried an external preamp that I had, which was a pretty nice tube preamp. It wasn't expensive, but it wasn't cheap. But I found that the interface really didn't have a true line in. It was still feeding a lot of that through its built-in preamp circuits, and so I still had some noise in there that just wasn't as clean as I was looking for. This mic is really picky, all right? And so if you read some of the reviews, the SM7B, and people say, man, this mic just is horrible, I don't know what everybody's talking about, it's probably the preamp. They probably have a really bad preamp, and they're blaming the mic, putting the blame on the wrong person, all right? The mic is great, but it needs a lot. It needs a studio, and not everybody's got that equipment in their house. So Apogee Duet, it's a cool option. There's some other ones out there too. I don't know about a cloud lifter. I know a lot of people talk about that adapter. Some people have said it kind of messes with the frequency response just a little bit, so I don't know if I'd do that. But, your mileage may vary, so do what you like and play with this mic because it's a really nice one. But let's talk about alternatives, because $350 plus $600, $700, $800 for interface / preamp, it's a lot of money. Over here, I've got an SM57. And a couple forums have talked about that as a comparison. The SM57 on paper looks kind of close, frequency response chart against the other, but the tonal quality wasn't there. I really didn't care for the SM57 native out of the box. Some other people have talked about transformerless. Pull out the transformer, boil it in water. I'm not doing that. That's too much work. For a $100 mic, I'd rather just spend money on something else than spend my time boiling water. Didn't make sense. But I did find one thing that nobody had talked about, and so that's what led to this video. The A81WS windscreen. You've seen it on all the presidential podiums when there's a speech outdoors. It slips right over the SM57. It's really designed for the SM81 condenser microphone, but the 57 will fit. If you are careful and patient with it, it'll stretch to do it. And man, once I put this windscreen on, I haven't found anything else that's as close to the SM7B except another SM7B. So I want to give you a little A-B comparison, let you decide what your thoughts are. Leave those notes in the comment section below. Also give me some tips as to what you think might improve these videos in the future, because I've got a whole bunch of other microphones in the drawer, and I'd gladly pull them out and do some A-B comparisons if you'd like. Just let me know, and I'll see if I've got an inventory. Before I go further, the SM7B comes with this windscreen. It's a little rectangular guy. I pulled that off, put on the larger foam, so it's a little bit more even in comparison to the amount of foam between the two microphones. I personally like this windscreen on my voice just a little bit more. Gives a little bit better bass response. Not much, but just a little bit more. But you got to be careful on the plosives, the popping Ps on this one. The SM57 also has a windscreen that looks very similar to this. I tried it on my SM57 against the SM7B, not even close. If you're going to do the SM57, you've got to do the A81 windscreen. It's really the only way to go. All right. If you're out in the field, you're doing a podcast where you're doing interviews that's not in your controlled home studio environment, SM58 is a good compromise. It's not perfect. It's not as close. It still gives you that Shure tone. It's still great for spoken word. and a lot of people use it. So it's a good mic for $100. You could hammer nails with it if you need to. The 57 with this windscreen, I wouldn't really take anywhere except the home studio. This foam is going to get beaten up pretty bad, and it's going to become kind of cumbersome to mess with if you're doing interviews with a handheld mic. This is really not the solution. But that being said, let's dig in. Let's see what they both sound like separate. So this is the SM7B, and as you can see, it's got a really smooth tone to it, at least I think so. For my voice, I've tried a lot of other mics. I've tried the Heil PR40, I've tried the Electro Voice RE20, I've tried the RE27, I've tried the Sennheiser MD421 Mark II, I've tried the 441 Sennheiser mic, I've tried the E935 Sennheiser, I've tried an SM58, I've tried, gosh, I think I'm running out of a list here. So I've gone through a lot to really get the tone I was looking for. And let's be honest, that's really what we're talking about, right? It's tone. And tone is different, and tone is subjective. Some people like a certain sound, other people can't stand it. Some people listen to country, other people listen to metal, other people listen to classical. It's all a taste issue. So when you're reading all these forums of telling you to buy this or buy that, even me telling you to buy this, don't take my word for it. Go check it out. Buy from somebody that's going to give you a chance to return it if you don't like it. See if you can test it at the actual retail store and plug it into something, anything, just to try it. It's like an instrument. Different woods, different frets, boards, everything makes sound different. Different strings on the same instrument make different tones. Microphones are no different. All right, so keep that in mind. Just because I say I like it doesn't necessarily mean you will. But I think it's pretty close if you like the SM7B. So this is the SM57 with the A81WS windscreen. And I got to tell you, except for just a little bit more bass response, it sounds really nice. It's got a really smooth tone to it. And that's one of the things that's an advantage of a windscreen. Windscreen is going to take out wind. And wind noise is usually that higher frequency stuff that makes some voices sound a little brittle, a little out of sorts. And so by putting this windscreen on, it cured that. It just took away those frequencies that I found really disturbing on a raw SM57. So it smoothed it out, okay? 2, there's a lot of foam on this thing. And so it gets the distance of your voice away from the capsule, from the cartridge, just like the SM7 does. There's a good amount of distance, actually very close distance if you measure from the cartridge out to the edge of this windscreen part. Same thing on the 57. If you measure out from the capsule to the edge, it's very close. I'd say maybe a 1/16 of an inch difference. And so that helps get that tone very, very similar, because after all, the SM7 is based on the same Unidyne cartridge that the whole 57, 58 SM7 series is on. So you're getting a lot closer. And then 3, plosives. Pop, 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 pop. You don't hear them on this thing. This windscreen is perfect for spoken word in that regard, that you don't have to worry about microphone placement, really. You can be, kind of an amateur, as what we're talking about. Podcasting usually attracts some amateurs. That's okay. You got to start somewhere. This lets you focus on your content and not worried about what angle you're talking on the mic, okay? PR40, horrible mic for popping plosives. RE20, not so much, right? But the RE20 is in this price point, not this price point. An SM58, it's a good mic, but you got to remember to keep your distance. And what's funny is I tried an SM58 with a pop screen, and I brought the distance out about the same as what I measured on these. The tone just wasn't quite the same. The SM58 had a little bit kind of a nasally tone, just barely. I mean, you really had to struggle to hear it, right? So I don't want to be, bashing it too bad, but it was still there. On the 57, I don't know if it's the foam. I don't know if it's just the 57 out of the box has, that different frequency response. And so you're kind of building on that foundation instead of the 58 with the vocal, the presence boost in there. You got to work kind of against a little bit. I don't know, but I really wasn't impressed. The 57 with this A81 windscreen is a really cool combination. And I have not seen anybody on the forums talking about it. So that's why I want to put this video together. I'll go back here on the SM7 just to give you a little bit comparison since it's been a while since I talked to this one. But as you can see, I really like the 57. I like the tone it provides. It's a cheaper alternative. You don't have to boil your microphone and pull out a transformer. You don't have to do anything crazy. You don't have to invest in a very expensive preamp. The 57 is a lot more forgiving when it comes to that compared to the SM7. And, it's cheap. You can get two of these for the price of one of these. So why not? At least start it and try it. And then you know what? If you like podcasting and it's really going well for you and you want to grow into the SM7B, perfect. Keep your SM57s with your A81 and use those for guest mics. So everybody's still going to have that same tone that you're going for the overall podcast. But you get the fancy mic as a reward for a successful show. So with that, I'll close this video. Hope it was helpful to some. If not, let me know. Let me know how I can improve the video. Let me know what else you'd like me to do. Different voices, I get that. That's probably going to be the first comment. I don't have that. It's just me. I'm sitting here and threw some mics on the interface and decided to fire up the camera to record this for you. So hopefully it's a better starting point than some other videos have left you. I think so. I think it's a lot closer than anything else I've seen, anything else I've heard, anything else I've read, anything else I dug out of my microphone drawer. If you're going on the cheap and you want that really good SM7 sound, get yourself an SM57 and throw an A81WS windscreen on it and give me a link to your podcast below so I can listen to it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Leave me some comments below. Let me know what else you want me to compare. Glad to do it. Take care.